We begin this morning with a Fox News alert. Hundreds of U.S. service members rallying together for a historic rescue mission, saving a second airman after his jet was shot down over Iran.
The crew member surviving more than 30 hours behind enemy lines, climbing to over 7,000 feet to hide in a mountain crevice. That is where he activated an emergency beacon armed with only a pistol to defend himself.
President Trump calling it one of the most daring search and rescue operations in U.S. history. The CIA playing a major role in rescue efforts using a deception campaign to lure away regime members who were hunting him down.
And now we know that while the crew member was being rescued, the U.S. unleashed an arsenal to protect the extraction point, including drones and B-1 bombers.
You are watching Fox and Friends First on this Monday morning. I'm Carly Shimkin.
And I'm Todd Pyro First. Trey Yingst joins us live from the Middle East with more on this daring mission. Trey.
Yeah, hey guys, good morning. We start with breaking news. The head of the IRGC intelligence operation, Major General Majid Kadhimi, has been killed. According to a senior Israeli official, a joint U.S. and Israeli strike overnight took out the man who was considered effectively the number 2 within the IRGC. He's one of the few senior commanders, I'm told, who managed to survive multiple waves of Israeli and American targeting over the past year. He oversaw intelligence operations that directly targeted U.S. forces and allies across the region. This comes as we are continuing to track developments and the possibility of a ceasefire deal between the United States and Iran. Yesterday, I spoke with President Trump, and he said if a deal does not happen this week, quote, you're going to see bridges and power plants dropping all over their country. If they don't make a deal and fast, I'm considering blowing everything up and taking over the oil. Now, a new report today in Reuters says a framework to end hostilities has been put together by Pakistan and exchanged with Iran and the U.S. overnight, outlining a 2-tier approach with an immediate ceasefire followed by a comprehensive agreement. Despite these diplomatic conversations, U.S. and Israeli planes continue to hammer the Iranian regime as we are gathering new details about that daring rescue operation over the weekend that led that U.S. crew member to being rescued. Hundreds of U.S. Special Forces on the ground in southwestern Iran. You can see the province here where they were located. It was an hours-long operation, but again, ultimately it was successful as a result of U.S. military and intelligence excellence. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said overnight, I spoke earlier with President Trump and personally congratulated him on his bold decision and a perfectly executed American mission to rescue the downed pilot from enemy territory. The president expressed his appreciation for Israel's help. I am deeply proud that our cooperation on and off the battlefield is unprecedented and that Israel could contribute to saving a brave American warrior. As this is taking place, the Iranians are continuing their ballistic missile attacks against Israel. A number of ballistic missiles were launched overnight towards central Israel. You can see aftermath video here in the northern part of the country. This is the city of Haifa. And at this scene of a direct impact from a ballistic missile, there are still 2 people missing. 2 were killed in this strike, and 2 again are believed to be buried under the rubble. So a lot of kinetic activity across the region, and the United States is preparing for the possibility, if a deal is not reached, that there will be significant escalation here in the region, and President Trump has promised to target Iranian power and energy infrastructure.
Yeah.
Guys?
All of this always an option on the table. But Trey, the breaking news that you just reported about this high-ranking Iranian official that was killed in the joint U.S.-Israeli airstrike, how could his death impact these potential negotiations to end this war that are ongoing right now?
Yeah, so Major General Majid Kadhimi was the man responsible for building the intelligence behind the current Iranian operations that are targeting U.S. forces and allies across the region. This includes Gulf countries. And so the fact that he was taken out, he is considered to be the number 2 person in the IRGC right now. And I'm told that there was actually another official taken out as well in that same strike. And that official is the commander of the Quds Forces Special Operations Unit, Ashgar Bakiri. And again, this gives you a sense of how the Israelis and the Americans are working together with their intelligence agencies to try and target individuals within the IRGC who are responsible for the ongoing attacks, again, to put pressure on the Iranian regime so that they come to the negotiating table and make a good faith deal.
You just wonder how many more of these individuals need to be killed before Iran realizes that these people cannot be replaced, or does that beg the question, Is everybody so replaceable in the IRGC and throughout the Iranian regime, Trey, that they can just keep this up, in perpetuity?
The Iranians have what is considered a mosaic defense, so they have prepared for this possibility that their top officials would be targeted. And I'm told that the intelligence chief, there were attempts to target him in the past, and he was relocating and moving different locations in an effort to get away from these strikes and these targeting attempts. The bottom line here is that the Iranians have the ability to fill the shoes of these officials, but as you go down the pecking order, these officials have less and less experience, and it makes it more difficult for the Iranians to continue the fight. We know they still have missiles and drones that they will use to target Gulf countries and U.S. forces around the region, also including Israel, the country. But when you step back here and you look at what's taking place, this is a systematic effort by the United States and Israel to go after the Iranian leadership structure, to decimate the military regime, and go after not only the launching positions of the ballistic missiles and the drones, but also the production lines of these facilities so that they're not able to make more weapons that can be used against U.S. forces or allies across the Middle East.
Well, the number 2 person in the IRGC killed is big news. So, Trey, we thank you so much for bringing it to us. Trey Yingst live for us in Tel Aviv. Trey, thank you. Let's bring in former NSC Chief of Staff under President Trump, Alex Gray. And Alex, of course, major news is, of course, this rescue mission to get the airman who was on Iranian soil for 30 hours out safely. And that happened over the weekend. Have you ever heard of a rescue mission like this taking place?
No, Carly. I mean, it really is the most extraordinary feat of American arms from a search and rescue and special operations perspective, probably since World War II. It's an extraordinary accomplishment. And I really just go back to the contrast between the last time we tried to do a major special operations search and rescue mission involving Iran, and that was 1980. That was the famous Desert One debacle under Jimmy Carter, when American special operators were killed when their helicopters crashed in the desert. And it goes back to the fact that leadership and resources matter. President Trump has made extraordinarily difficult decisions in this operation to send these incredible men and women into harm's way to do these extraordinary operations. And he's given our men and women in uniform the resources they need to be successful, unlike in the Carter era. So I look at those two operations, and you can just see the difference that leadership makes in these most extraordinary circumstances.
And I think it also helps to have an intel apparatus that's actually focused on intel like this and not focused on soccer moms and Catholic churches. And to that point, what I'm fascinated by is the CIA's deception campaign involved in this rescue. Why did our intel outsmart their intel, Alex?
You know, we have spent the last couple of years going back to President Trump's first term, and then now under John Ratcliffe at the CIA in the second term, building the CIA back into the organization that most Americans expect it to be. And unfortunately, if you go back to John Brennan and the CIA in the Obama era and under Biden again, the CIA turned into a politicized, really underused, under-resourced, poorly led bureaucracy that was more focused on DEI initiatives and more focused on, how do we be a more inclusive intelligence community than on making sure that we were doing the right missions to project American power and to execute our core capabilities overseas. And credit to Director Ratcliffe and President Trump and the whole team for turning the CIA into what most Americans think it should be.
Okay, so Reuters is reporting, and this is brand new, that the U.S. and Iran have received a plan to end the war. This plan is being put forward by Pakistan, but if it does take effect, it could take effect as soon as today. This plan would reopen the Strait of Hormuz, and it would take a two-tiered approach with an immediate ceasefire followed by a comprehensive agreement. How seriously should we be taking this?
Well, we'll have to wait and see, Carly. I think as a general matter, the president's been very clear that he wants to see things resolved, but with the very clear caveat that the Iranians have to reopen the strait. The Iranians have to exercise the appropriate judgment. The Iranians cannot continue to do the types of things they've been doing to destabilize the region. The president's been very clear about America's war aims. We're getting very close on the military side to just absolute, unprecedented operational success. I think most Americans should hope that this deal does come to fruition, assuming the United States completely accomplishes our war objectives, including getting the straits reopened. But again, the president's been very clear. If this doesn't come to fruition, he also has a lot of optionality to go in and raise the pain threshold on the Iranian regime even higher. And so I think whether it happens today or it happens in a couple of days or a week from now, the United States certainly has plenty of options to be able to compel the regime back to the table.
And does one of those options include help from NATO? Apparently not. Former White House Press Secretary Ari Fleischer sending a warning via X, writing, quote, "Wars have unintended consequences as nations show their true colors. NATO will never be the same, and Western European weakness and acquiescence is the cause." So, Alex, what does come next for NATO?
Yeah, Ari nailed it. I mean, NATO has become, in many ways, and I hate to say this as someone who's always supported NATO, NATO has really become kind of the European arm of the American think tank establishment. I mean, it's really in some ways become the European arm of opposition to the Trump administration and to American conservatives. They're not focused on what made the alliance strong from 1949 when it was founded, which was that we worked together as a transatlantic community in pursuit of shared values. And what's more of a shared value than trying to prevent Iran from destroying the region and projecting violence and ideological menace across the Middle East? But they have allowed their anti-Americanism and their anti-Trump derangement syndrome to take precedence over this shared transatlantic unity. And Ari's 100% right. If we have European allies who are more interested in that type of political posturing than in projecting a shared vision for the world, that alliance isn't going to last much longer.
And this is why NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte is going to be meeting with President Trump this week on Wednesday to try and hash all of this out. Former NSC Chief of Staff under President Trump, Alex Gray, we thank you for your time and expertise.
Alex.
Thanks for joining us this morning.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.